Hey everybody, today we're having James Arthur on from Seatopia. We're going to be talking about fatherhood, all things father, since Father's Day is coming up, and we're here to celebrate all the dads everywhere. So hang on a sec, let's get James on. Is it,
Okay,
here we go,
so
Seatopia.
join. Oh, great. Good. Started following us. That should allow us to add them.
Cool. James, just invited you, if you want to accept that. Invite and we can get started.
We did it.
Wow,
Ah,
amazing grasp of technology, the first time. So glad you're here with us.
I'm impressed we figured this out.
yes. Are you in Kauai right now?
Yes.
Oh, we're coming to you from Cocoa Beach.
Awesome.
Wow.
Oh, look at those blue skies.
Oh, look at the water.
We are separated but connected by water.
Yes.
Connected in the deep.
Yes, we are, my Aquarius brother.
That's right. Right. I think we share the same birthday actually, right?
You and one of my best friends, Kat. She's our partnerships director, actually. So
Okay.
two very special people in our lives.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Amazing. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to join us today for this fun and relaxed conversation.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thank you for suggesting that we connect here. I've truly valued our budding friendship and, connecting with you guys at Eudaimonia. It's just so evident that um, that we should be friends and that we're approaching some of the same problems with sort of from different angles, but meeting right here in the middle with, how do we live healthier, more connected lives? So, yeah, super grateful to be here social networking with you guys in a very authentic way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Likewise. Likewise.
Yeah, not everything is fake out there, man. This is as real as it gets on social.
And this is like one of my favorite parts of social is the connection piece.
Yeah, this is, I think, what it's supposed to be, right? Um, is staying in touch with people that are part of community and developing community in an authentic way. So I see you guys and I appreciate you.
Oh,
Yeah, same reflection, brother.
And I
yeah.
see our buddy Andrew Huberman talking about SaunaSpace, which is awesome. I love that.
Mm.
You guys are just popping up everywhere. I tell everybody about SaunaSpace.
Oh.
It's great. Okay, I got a question for you guys
Yeah.
because I somebody asked me like how different is that just from like the light that I had on my iguana tank when I was little. And I was like, I don't really know, but I don't care because I feel as good as my iguana did just laying in front of that light when I'm there. And that is the place I want to be.
Yes. Yeah, so many people lovingly refer to it as the lizard light. Like I
Yeah,
feel like a lizard living my best life.
yeah, absolutely. And my children use it as soon as they come out of the bath. They cuddle up in front of the red light. Yeah, it's been such a blessing. It's funny because being in Kauai or anywhere that's like warm, we still have cold days, we still have wet days, and it's amazing how valuable just that subtle red warm light that feels natural
Hmm.
is. It truly has made a difference in our lives. So thank you.
Yeah, it's so cool to hear, especially from you living in Hawaii. So many people would consider that to be a dream. You have the ocean, you have the sun. Why would you need any sort of man-made light source for warmth or enjoyment? But yeah, it's because we share a lot in common with the lizards. not maybe not the reptile, the reptilian people, but like the actual lizards, we we both really need a lot of near infrared. So it's like high energy infrared light from the sun that we can't see with our eyes. And so our bulb is incandescent, just like a reptile light is incandescent, or the old school ones
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So they're similar in the type of the light being natural. That's how nature makes light, is by glowing, just like the sun. Our bulb is particularly tuned for human use, so it has the peak of the wavelengths, and like the focus of the energy is in near infrared and red, where a reptile light is going to have more of the longer wavelength infrared
Okay.
that's only heating.
Okay.
So ours is kind of like shifted, but they feel similar
Yeah.
because they're both incandescent. They're both broad spectrum light. It's not an LED.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well, it definitely puts me in that space of feeling like a lizard, very happy, and yeah, it's benefited our whole family. And we are so attuned to the sun, and yet so much of society has been indoors and away from the sunlight, you know. But if you look back at cultures that worship the sun, it's it's not unsurprising that that was ubiquitous in so many parts of the planet and so many cultures. All plant life and human life is governed by sunlight. So bringing those wavelengths that our bodies have evolved looking for, yeah, it makes us feel healthy, makes us feel connected in a really good way. Thank you for bringing that into our lives.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, it's also remembering that our nature is flowing and gentle and subtle, and the times in which we have like really violent input or a lot of chaos or a lot of stress are supposed to be like really limited times. And so if we think of our body as like a battery, we want to have a trickle charge all the time.
Mm.
So instead of trying to like get some kind of like massive dose of light in a really fast,
Quick charger.
quick, there's no quick charge. It's not like an electric car. It's all about trickle charge. So when we go grounding, when we get sunlight, we want to get a nice dose every day, and instead of like never going in the sun and then all of a sudden being out there for like 8 hours or 10 hours, you
Yeah.
you burn. So yeah, so what's cool about our light, our firelight, is if and when you don't have that convenient sunlight daily access, you can get a lot of that near infrared nutrition, the food of light that you need, in your house,
Mhm.
Yeah.
even when it's cloudy or it's yucky out.
Yeah. 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 And it is, I think there's something about that accumulation, right? It's like the same sort of thing with having DHA, EPA, those essential fatty acids. It's an accumulation, it's not a one time exposure, right? So you can't
Mhm.
just eat a bunch of sushi once a week and think that you're getting enough omegas for the whole month or week. I feel like with
Hmm.
sunlight, it's, as you said, the trickle charge is the regular exposure. It's having that in my system, in my flow on a daily,
Mhm.
is attuning it. What is that on like the mitochondrial level? What is it on the sort of cellular level that is charging?
Mhm.
Oh, so there are many things going on in what we call light therapy collectively. One thing is the photons of light are being converted to electrons in the bodies, in the mitochondria, so we get energy from it. That leads to like all these different systems that promote, that reduce inflammation, promote regeneration, like healing, the repair of our DNA, so it has anti-aging effects. But there's even other effects that are more subtle. I think maybe that's what you're referring to on the electrical level. It it restores our electrical potential in our cells, which is kind of like a charge that the cell has of this voltage gradient that allows things to happen like really efficiently and effectively. And if we're sick or we're just unhealthy, we have acidic lifestyle or just bad negative thinking and stuff like that, that voltage drops to zero or even goes positive, and then nothing works right, you know, and we're like everything's like slow and low energy and inefficient, and the light immediately like restores that electrical potential. So it recharges your cells, it recharges your mitochondria, it like restores electrical function, which is the fundamental sort of like basis of everything that's going on in your body.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to reframe and remember that we have this bioelectrical system, you know, and that's also part of why DHA works so well in our bodies, is it allows the efficient transfer of information. You know, all life on Earth has, like, originating from microalgae and these single cell organisms in the ocean. DHA was this common molecule that built all of these systems, because nature continued to select, evolution continued to select this molecule that very efficiently was able to transfer electrical stimuli. And it's really interesting to be thinking about these bioelectrical systems in our bodies, how what we're feeding ourselves are supporting clean energy, clean transfer, clean transmission, and yeah, and again, like, I guess other ways in which we can, it's almost like photosynthesis, right? In a way, there's a reaction that's happening in our skin, in our eyes, that is responding to light and helping support mitochondrial function. Have you come across a lot of data? Where is the science at with understanding our, you know, we're not converting it directly to sugars and energy in the way that photosynthesis works, but what is the definition or the terminology for this interaction that we have with infrared and near infrared light?
Yeah, biochemically, it's like a little different from photosynthesis, but the concept is the same. And it's not just in your eyes and your skin, it's every cell of your body has mitochondria. So every cell of your body can do this. So your pancreas, your brain cells, your gut, all the cells of your body can perform this function. And it is direct, actually. So the near infrared light is absorbed by an enzyme in the mitochondria. It's called the cytochrome C, which means cell of light. And when it absorbs this wavelength, it increases cellular energy production, what's called ATP. So your cells are able to use the light to create energy without any sugar. It's a direct transfer of energy. It's really quite magical, actually. And then of course there's like all these other things that happen too. It also stimulates like antioxidant production in your body, like glutathione and melatonin. Most of your melatonin is produced in your cells from the near infrared light exposure. It's not from your pineal gland. The pineal gland does produce there's a little bit that's produced here from blue light that is released at the end of the day to tell your body, oh, it's time to like go to bed after sunset. But most of the melatonin is made in the cell with the light, with the near infrared light coming directly. So it's like really powerful stuff going on at all different levels.
I've noticed that you guys are often promoting uh, some different supplements. A lot of people probably come to you in this sort of detox phase. Not everybody, but um, what about what is it? What are some of the sort of synergistic combinations that you really like when using the SaunaSpace, in as far as supplementation, and also how have you felt like eating salmon roe caviar right before doing a session. I'm curious if you felt anything there, if you've noticed anything, because it is, you know, in that phospholipid triglyceride form, one of the most bioavailable forms of this this really powerful molecule that's also a, you know, hormone activating molecule. So curious if you've felt this.
Mm.
Have you eaten any salmon roe yet before we got in the sauna?
No, so now I'm curious. We have some. We have some. We've got a couple tins because we've been traveling, and my mom's been here to safely transport our Seatopia subscription. And it is, let's just take a moment to appreciate the amazing product that you've
Mm.
brought through Seatopia. Oh my goodness. I've never tasted something so fresh, so clean, so pure. I have always loved seafood from a young age, and then as as time went on, and the awareness around mercury and all of these things, and even the wild caught stuff, and then I was such a salmon lover. I've always been a salmon lover, and then um, in my younger years, when in my younger 20s, when I'd go out, I'd always order salmon because thinking it was a healthier option because it is if it's not toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And then finding out, oh, wow, it's actually one of the most toxic things that you could get when it's not sourced
Yeah.
correctly. And so I am so thrilled because I stepped away from just fish for a while because I didn't know. I didn't know what to trust, and I didn't want to be poisoning my body. And
Yeah.
now, and oh my goodness, all of the salmon's amazing. We've had multiple sushi nights, totally inspired by you.
Yeah.
And it's so fun for the family. But the king salmon,
Yeah.
no words. no,
Yeah.
no words can describe the level of like the delicate, buttery, flaky
No, also the
taste.
scallops.
Oh,
Like,
oh, and the scallops, yeah. I have not really eaten a lot of shellfish recently, but I've made quite a bit of an exception for those scallops.
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you for sharing that experience. I think a lot of people have had experiences where like, wow, salmon makes me feel really great. There's something very that they're very attracted to with salmon, and then even scallops too. Um, and it's different nutrients, right? Like salmon biologically are accumulating massive amounts of fat right before they swim upriver. You know, they're traditionally would spend a significant portion of their life in the ocean, and then they stop eating before they swim upriver to sacrifice their life and give all of their energy to the eggs of the roe for the next generation, and they will subsequently die. But the whole time they're swimming upriver, they're not eating. So they're preparing their bodies to have as much of the fuel as possible and accumulating that. And king salmon in particular are known to swim very far up rivers, up very powerful rivers, and so they accumulate incredible concentrations and percentage of total fats. And those fats are primarily those DHA fats that
Mm.
originate in microalgae and then bioaccumulate through the food system into the fish. So when you're eating those, you're eating something that like has this amazing concentration, right? If you think of animals almost like bioreactors for accumulating all the nutrients and then putting it into a form factor that is actually more bioavailable to us, that they're one of the most efficient systems on the planet for creating nutrients in a form that we can then utilize. And then
Mm.
they're in particular putting all of their nutrients, yes, a lot of it is into their muscles for them to swim, putting it into the next generation, into their roe. So salmon roe caviar is all of its nutrients and all of its incredible potency for that next generation. And also interestingly, salmon babies, when they're born, don't eat for a very long time. They rely on the roe sac that they're attached to. A lot of pelagic fish that are born in the ocean, as soon as they're born, they have to go and eat right away. They're like right away have to go and find something alive and go and eat it. Salmon have enough nutrients on them to survive for like 30 days. So you're getting this incredible starter pack in a concentrated form, and it's no wonder that that massive bears are specifically focused on catching salmon and eating the roe, because it's the most nutrient packed source of nutrition. And humans, I think we spent a lot of time looking for early humans, early ancestors, spent a lot of time looking for nutrient-rich sources of protein and nutrients that didn't necessarily fight back. And salmon and fish along shorelines and in rivers was one of those things. And I think that's part of the reason why we as humans have essential fatty acids, or there's fats that we are dependent on that have to come from the environment. We had access to these nutrients that we didn't create ourselves, that we are dependent on. And the only way that could have happened was if we regularly had access to those things. And salmon is one of those things that gives us that incredible concentration of those nutrients that our bodies evolved looking for. And then when you mentioned scallops, scallops have some other really interesting nutrients like zinc and glycine and these things that you don't see in a lot of places, and high levels of some really cool nutrient profile on scallops. Not as fatty. In fact, it's one of the ratio of fat to protein is very low. It's a very efficient protein to calorie conversion if you care about those things. And when we're getting those scallops like the ones that you had, they are so pure and clean and truly scalable and regenerative. And that's one of the beautiful things about the sourcing that we've been doing is those scallops, every single scallop is an example of regeneration, a living example of regeneration. Every single scallop shell is created through the process of calcifying carbon from the ocean and converting it into that shell. And every 7 pounds of scallop shells is essentially 1 pound of carbon that's sequestering out of the ocean. And carbon, there's an excess buildup right now of carbon, and it's causing acidification in the ocean. So pulling carbon and deacidifying the oceans is a really important thing that we can do when we're eating scallops. We're helping support this, offsetting ocean acidification. Also, every shell, every whole scallop is filtering incredible amounts of water on a daily basis. Oysters and mussels, these are all filter feeders, these bivalves, but scallops in particular are filtering upwards of 50 gallons of water a day per scallop. And so when we're farming these scallops and raising them in these lantern baskets, they're literally cleaning massive amounts of water. They're raised in these lantern baskets hanging in the midwater column. And each one is filtering water. Each one is pulling carbon out of the ocean, and they create habitat that the farm itself becomes a nursery for all these different species of fish that come in there and find refuge. So scallop farming is such a beautiful example of regenerative action, regenerative food systems that are creating this beautiful, clean nutrients that are supporting proactively net positive to the ocean. And then when you pair scallops next to a finfish farm, for example, you can create a symbiotic relationship between the two of them, which is also really cool to see that, just like in examples of regenerative cattle farming, where you integrate cattle, rotating them through pastures, there's a symbiotic relationship between cattle manure and all the other organisms that are in a farm. As long as you have the right distribution and partnership, the nutrients, the phosphorus, the nitrates, the ammonia are superfoods, fertilizers for the soil. It's exactly the same thing with fish effluent and scallops or oysters or mussels and the kelps and the algae and deposit feeders like sea urchins. There's these beautiful symbiotic relationships, and that's one of the fun things that we're exploring with Seatopia is how do we catalyze the growth of more regenerative food systems that work in symbiotic relationship to produce the most nutrient dense foods, and then lab testing it and verifying that not only are these foods delicious, but they can be produced in ways that are regenerative, nutrient dense, and oftentimes cleaner than what is being pulled out of the ocean. Because, to your point, not all seafood is clean. There's a lot of toxicity that is bioaccumulated in the ocean. Rivers, I'm sitting next to a river, and all rivers lead to the ocean, right? So if you upstream here have a bunch of farms using antibiotics, or you have sewage, or you have runoff, all of that is going down to the ocean and it's bioaccumulating. And today we have increased levels of mercury in the ocean.
Mhm.
We have increased levels of microplastics throughout the entire ocean. So to be able to find really clean seafood is difficult. It took us over a year and a half when one of our partners, our shrimp partner, discontinued to find another partner that met the standards, that was able to produce nutrient dense, truly regenerative, scalable, clean shrimp. It took us a long time. It took us a really long time. That's like going to, you know, Ecuador and to Singapore and to Vietnam and to Indonesia and different places. Like all around the world, we're seeing microplastics. There's not a place where you don't find them. So to be able to produce it in a way that's clean is difficult. You have to have a very clean environment. You have to have very clean feed inputs, and then you have to test it and verify it. And unfortunately, the reality is not all seafood will even still pass it because it's in the waters and whatnot. So you have to have a system to verify, and you have to be willing to say no to certain species that aren't filtering or able to be separated. So, for example, we don't currently sell oysters or mussels because oysters and mussels are often consumed whole, and the digestive tract is in that organism. Whereas a scallop, you're eating the adductor muscle. The adductor muscle is different from the digestive tract that has been removed. So the row on digestive tract aspect was pulled off. If we had left the row on, there would be microplastics in there. So with the
You just answered the question that I had, and actually I think a lot of people have. How if it's a filter feeder
Mhm.
and it's filtering all this water, how
Yep,
can the flesh be clean?
yeah, yeah, and the same thing goes for fish, right? So if fish have, if you were to test microplastics in the stomach or the liver, you would find positive results in almost all species, and that's why we don't sell anchovies or sardines, because it's very difficult to find a source where they're separating out and very cleanly removing those so that you're not getting the cross contamination. And with the scallops, you can remove the digestive tract, and that's where the filter feeders are accumulating toxins that are
Mm.
in the environment, particularly microplastics. With mussels and oysters, you can't separate it cleanly. It's all together. And so thus
Mm.
far, we haven't been able to identify a scalable source that meets that standard.
Mm. Wow.
Wow, that's fascinating.
I
Yeah.
love I love how intentional every thought of bringing a product to Seatopia has been. Like, there are tons of people who would, I'm sure, order oysters or other things, but I love that you're holding out until, it doesn't come through unless it really does meet your standard. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. If we sold tuna, for example, we would sell a lot, but we don't sell tuna because it's very difficult to produce and scale uh, tuna. Uh,
Hmm.
it's difficult to scale and produce. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of species that I love that I would love to offer that we haven't yet. I won't say we won't, but we haven't been able to figure out every aspect of some of the favorite species, like sardines, like oysters, and like tuna. But there are projects trying to figure it out, and we're big supporters of that. We're not perfect, but we're getting there. We still use plastic uh, vacuum seal bags, which is a bummer. We're trying to get away from that. We have tested using the, the exception to that is the scallops and the shrimp come in a bag that's made out of uh, bio-based materials. I believe it's a cassava-based bag, and it is fully recyclable. And we've used fully compostable versions, but it doesn't work for the vacuum seal. So for products that need to be vacuum sealed, at the moment we are using a plastic BPA-free bag, and we send the product to the laboratory in that packaging, and the laboratory consistently has determined that microplastics are not transferring into the fish by direct contact.
Mm.
It is, if microplastics are getting into fish, it's generally through the feed, and it's
Hmm.
generally showing up in the digestive tract or the liver. There are instances where it does transfer into the meat, but those are oftentimes with smaller fish. And uh, yeah, yeah. But anyways, that's just some of the things that we're working on. It's Yeah, that's where we're at. Trying to
Yeah, it's
figure
a constant evolution. Us too. Like we switched to recyclable foam a few years ago, and we've been actually for the last year trying to get all the foam out of the packaging, even though it's technically recyclable, but um,
Well, and even the bulb.
it's not. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't biodegrade like as quickly as something like peanuts that are made with cornstarch or
yeah,
something like that. So
yeah,
so to that effect, yeah, we're trying to switch to 100% paper,
cool,
no plastic, no recyclable foam at all, and it's our products are different. They have different requirements, but each product has its own challenges. Like we have these handmade wood products that we don't want all smashed up and banged up, and the foam is a really effective way of protecting it during travel. So we have actually something that's hopefully coming out very soon. That's
awesome,
our first attempt to do the whole thing, all the internal packaging, everything is 100% paper.
beautiful, beautiful. I love it. Yeah, super similar. I mean, with seafood, that was like one of the things when we started. I was like, it's it's absolutely contradictory to my ethos to build a seafood company, call it sustainable or regenerative, and be dependent on styrofoam. So we don't use styrofoam, and from day one
Yeah.
we didn't. But there are other things that we've had to make compromises on, like the vacuum seal bags. And when we first launched Utopia, 100% of our products were in a certified home compostable vacuum seal bag, and it was really great, and I was very proud of it. And we lost like 50% of our inventory because it didn't hold its seal.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Ouch. Yeah.
so it's a constant evolution. There's a guy in our team who's also very passionate about these things, and he's constantly ordering and testing out new materials, and yeah, there are people trying to figure it out, and I'm very excited for that to be resolved. And in the interim, we will be their biggest supporters and first customers when a good quality compostable vacuum seal film is available.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that amazing explanation. Like,
I learned some
yeah,
things.
you can go on your website and learn some things, but I've always wondered that about the oysters because they're so popular. You know,
Yeah.
people there. Some people are such big advocates of how what an awesome tool they've been,
Yeah.
and you know, in their healing journey and switching to sardines and oysters. But it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. So thank you for that.
Oh,
And now I can, and even with the scallops, I had no idea. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of oysters and scallops, but it's a difficult thing for us to condone as a company because it doesn't meet our standards, you know? So in the interim, like, you know, if people want to consume them, that's fine. I just can't we can't put our brand on it for now, you know? Um, I do believe that somebody will figure it out. You know, if somebody has a microplastic filter in a closed loop uh, aquaculture system, in theory, they could raise scallops that wouldn't have microplastics in them. But that's some infrastructure that I haven't seen yet. It's doable though. Same thing with sardines. You know, in theory, somebody could very meticulously separate the digestive tract, the liver, out from the sardines, but that's a difficult thing to scale. So I haven't seen that yet. But I'm optimistic that it will happen as demand grows and more awareness grows for the complications of microplastics. Um, in the interim, if somebody wants the benefits of a sardine fast or sardine diet, they can get it with Seatopia because you can get this amazing concentration of DHA and EPA and zinc and taurine and all the other nutrients that are in a whole fish, and you don't get the stink or the microplastics. You know, I've personally been doing something I call the dolphin protocol. So did you guys by chance test your omega index yet?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to send you both an omega index kit. We recently uh, got these test kits that that I can send to you at home. You simply will prick your finger and do a little blood sample, and the blood sample gets sent into the laboratory. The laboratory then will be able to measure the percentage of EPA and DHA, those are the essential fatty acids that are derived from marine sources, the percentage of EPA and DHA in your red blood cells. That is what's called the omega index.
Hmm.
It is one of the most interesting biomarkers for health, correlations to reductions in all.
James, we lost your audio there for a second. Can you repeat that?
I was saying that there's been studies looking at the omega index in different population groups
Okay.
and correlating higher levels of omega index, like an omega index above 8, is correlated with groups that have 35%, I think the number was 32% lower all-cause mortality, lower risk of coronary complications, lower risk of neurodegenerative complications. Really powerful biomarker of health is the omega index. And I'll send you guys 2 omega index test kits. And what it'll do is it'll simply be able to at home take the test, send it to the laboratories, and you'll get the results. It'll tell you what the percentage of omega 3s in your red blood cells are. And then there's great guidance. Sorry if it's windy here. There's some really good data on how you can move your omega index, and it generally says you want to eat 2,000 milligrams per day of combined EPA and DHA. And you can do that a few different ways, but if you were doing that with whole food, which has been demonstrated to be the most bioavailable and efficient way to move your omega index. You could do that with uh, one piece of the New Zealand king salmon per day, and you would be exceeding that average and get to a higher omega index. So the
How
biggest
big is that piece?
side, excuse me,
How big is that piece of fish?
6 ounces.
So
It's a
something
portion.
like 6 ounces a day of something really high quality.
Hmm.
Yeah. Of the well, because we test every product, you can look on the packaging and it'll tell you how many milligrams per serving or proportion of EPA and DHA are in there. It's a little harder to do it with generalized seafood, but all of our products have that on it.
So
Oh,
awesome.
amazing.
But what
Um,
I've been doing, because the guidance is like 2,000 milligrams to get to 8%, I've been doing what I'm calling the dolphin protocol, and my goal is to consume 4 to 6,000 milligrams per day, so that I can get to into the teens. I'm currently at an 11.6% omega index, but I want to go even higher. I'm self-experimenting on how it feels and how my body reacts to having an omega index similar to a dolphin.
oh my goodness, you'll have to tell us. Tell us what you
Well,
find.
you're already above the 8. How does it feel?
Well, the range that they say is like 8 to 12 is like recommended, and my goal is to get even higher. But the data says this is like, the test I'll send you. It has a full breakdown of not only your total EPA and DHA, but also the percentage of other fats and the ratios. So like trans fats, I'm like less than 0.2% or something, that which just tells you that you're not eating processed fats. Like you're not, your pantry isn't stocked with a bunch of soy and canola oil. Um, the ratio of omega sixes to omega threes. Omega sixes aren't bad, but you definitely want to have a lot more omega threes and omega sixes. So my ratio is on the positive side. It's significantly more omega threes. Um, but to get even higher levels, there is some emerging data that is showing that you can activate different hormones that helps burn more fat, that burns brown fat, that helps stimulate energy when you have much higher levels. And then, yeah, I'll share more when I have more information. But I feel great so what I do is on generally once a week, I will try to cook a bunch of fish and put it into Tupperwares. So what I do is I take bunch of salmon. I marinate it in miso and I broil it. It takes 15 minutes from start to finish. Um, and then I put it in individual Tupperwares and I just have it available all week long to just grab for breakfast or lunch or dinner anytime. I'm always snacking on something that is clean and healthy and nutrient dense. And those clean fats and proteins have me feeling satiated and clear. And that is working for me. And that's what I'm trying to maintain. And my goal is to be
Mm.
eating clean seafood, not like what some people say, like eat it twice a week. I'm trying to do 2 times a day.
Oh, that's a goal right there.
I'm
I could
rambling.
get on board for that.
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, dolphin protocol. So, can you explain to us, like, you're a big fish guy. Is this the best place to get, or the best or easiest or the most bioavailable place to get DHA, these omega 3s? Are there other good places that are reasonable sources to get this as well?
I mean, you could get it from sardines. The data says that it's more bioavailable. Your body more efficiently converts it and utilizes it when it's in a form factor that your body doesn't have to convert. So, phospholipid form in salmon roe caviar or in fatty salmon is the most efficient. Um,
Mm.
in particular, phospholipid, and then excuse me, the triglyceride form is also very efficient. Your body has a number of different mechanisms that use the triglyceride. But phospholipid is the most bioavailable, and you don't see that in all seafood, and you definitely do not see that in supplements. Most supplements, to be shelf stable, are something called an ethyl ester form. And the ethyl ester form, yes, it will sit on the shelf longer, it'll protect it longer from oxidation, but your body then has to convert it into something that it can utilize. And that conversion process is why a lot of people feel sort of burpy when they're taking fish oil supplements, because your body has to then just figure out how to digest it, and it's less efficient. It's also interestingly worth noting that there's been some studies on the risks of high dose omega-3 supplementation. So if you wanted to hit the same sort of omega-3 goals that I have for myself through supplementation, it causes risk for certain groups, like for people who are at risk for a few different like heart conditions or have trouble clotting, blood clotting, and things like that. High doses of supplements have created a risk. There is not that risk when eating it in the whole food form, and that underscores the efficiency of eating whole foods that our bodies evolved eating. Because when you're getting a whole food form, it's not just that EPA and DHA, it's also all the other pro-resolving mediators and nutrients and micronutrients that your body utilizes in a symbiotic relationship to digest and activate those molecules. So yes, this is, in my opinion, the most bioavailable form and efficient form to get those nutrients into our bodies. And surprise, surprise, that's how we evolved, was eating whole foods. We didn't evolve supplementing.
Yeah, it's the same thing with light, James.
Yes, brother.
Light comes in the natural form and it feels amazing. Once you start trying to piecemeal it out, like with these LEDs, with fluorescent light, even with the LED red light, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't act the same. It doesn't smell the same. You know,
Yeah.
we're just designed to get things in their natural whole form, for sure.
Yes. 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 Well, I'm very grateful that you guys have done everything you do with such intention, and that your product authentically feels different. And yeah, I'm sure it's I know that we became friends for a reason, and it's not just that we go to the same conference. It's because we're on the same wavelength, and we're trying to do things with a lot of integrity that are authentically supportive to our health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and you can feel it. Like everything, we know this, everything has a vibration, everything has an energy. You can feel intentions if you're really in tune to them. And Eudaimonia is so fun. I'm so excited to be there again this year with you. But last year, when I was looking at the list of speakers and just all of the incredible people that the event brought, I had two people that I was most interested in connecting with, and you were one of them. And
Hmm.
it totally was meant
Yeah.
to be. And I think it's because we felt that, you know. And I hadn't even tried your product. I was waiting to try your product. We were in a big transition from Missouri to Florida. Had just like moved to Florida for a couple of months, and we're waiting to be kind of, you know, rooted here before we got on any subscription. And I was so blessed to meet you and connect with you and your team.
Hmm.
And this felt like such a fun, like, we were like, okay, what can we do to support each other? And as Father's Day was approaching, I was thinking of the brands that we love who are helping to elevate humanity in the world, and who also have a brilliant, heart-centered uh, founder that I thought would really bring forth an energy talking about not just our brand's mission, but also as we're shifting into this season of recognizing fathers and masculinity. And oftentimes it's the positive parts of masculinity are sometimes buried. I wanted to bring in those individuals who I feel like really embody conscious masculinity and can speak to and be a presence in what we see, being the shining light of what it really truly is to be in your highest expression.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're the first IG live kicked off for this month. So,
Well, you guys got me on IG Live for the first time. Also,
what?
I've been off of social media in total for a few years now. Basically, since I became a father, really. Um, yeah, so it's really interesting timing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I now have two girls who are here running around playing in the water at the moment. Um, one will be turning 2 next month, and one is turning 3 or turning 4 in December. So a 1 and a 3-year-old at the moment. Um, and it has changed my life in many ways, more than just getting me off the social media. But hey, you guys, I'm honored to be here with you both on to talk about something that is important, which is um, yeah, how we show up as leaders. And this Father's Day is really meaningful to me. It's this is my third chance at Father's Day that's coming up, and it um, yeah, I feel like being a entrepreneur and a father are both all encompassing,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's sacrifices every day. There's days when my work as a business team leader, as an entrepreneur, is sacrificed in order to be a father. And there's days when being there for my children is sacrificed to be running the business. There's no perfect balance. There's constant uh, give and take, and I'm learning to explore that and to work through that. And I think one of the things that makes it doable for me is having an important why, having a why that is meaningful. When my girls ask me, why am I going to work?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them that I'm working to protect the oceans and to regenerate ecosystems. And I tell them about like the mangrove forests that we've planted this year. We have this project where we're planting mangroves for every single order. Last year we did something similar with kelp. We planted over 20,000 kelp trees last year. This year we're already surpassing that number with the Mangrove Forest Initiative. Um, and we're helping people eat healthier, and we're helping mitigate pressure on wild stock and protect wild species. If we weren't doing this, there are really beautiful, very important examples of regenerative farms that would not have the financial support to continue practicing regenerative aquaculture. We have to build this new system. We have to create the financial incentives, and we have to create the educational demand infrastructure to support better food systems from the ocean, from waters, for this blue planet to get into right relationship with seafood. And I feel like that is a worthy cause. And when I,
Yeah.
I, and I'm telling them, one of these days you're going to come and visit. I'm going to take them to a marine protected area with a abundant, vital kelp forest full of fish that was created through the efforts of Seatopia. and we're going to free dive through that together. And I'm going to tell them, this is what we created together. And that's an important, and it feels good to have an important, like a why that is meaningful like that. Yeah.
Wow, thank you for that. That was
It was super inspiring.
fantastic. I think most fathers are challenged with this thing that you brought up, striking the balance.
Yeah.
Between these two things that we love and other things as well that are out there, and ultimately being honest with ourselves and communicating really with love and honestly to our children, to our loved ones, to our family, that, hey, dad has a purpose. There's something like there's a mission here, and there's a role of service, that you're engaged in, someone's engaged in, that it's just so beautiful.
Do we get a guest appearance?
Oh, perfect timing.
And I love exactly what you just did, because there may be moments that one area requires a little bit more of your attention, but you don't have to compartmentalize. Like, this is a cool part, I think, of how our society has evolved. And, one of maybe the benefits of 2020 and the stuff that happened is a little bit more understanding of the home life, and like integrating that. And so I think this is so beautiful that you're a living example of what you just described. It's like, she's a part of your mission. Your daughters, your family, it's a part. They're not separate. And they are your why. They are also your why.
Yeah, I'm super grateful that I've been able to manifest something that is aligned with what makes me feel whole, and that can be directly supportive of them and yeah, it makes sense, and I hope and wish and manifest for more people to have that sort of fulfillment.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, and I also just want to acknowledge that when I met you guys, water. Okay, you want to go in the water? She wants to go in the water. When I met you guys, what I saw was two very vibrant, beautiful humans that were leading a team that all felt very right and loving and kind. And I'm so excited for you guys just to be part of our community, but also I'm excited for you guys in your journey.
Oh, they kick us off? Oh no, we're just having a little connection issue.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, we're on the edge of our seat.
Yeah, I know.
James.
So good. So good. Well, hopefully James will reconnect. We've had an amazing, beautiful conversation about everything. His amazing creation. Yeah, it looks like he lost connection, but still, I think we really we hit all.
We also got the essence of what he was sharing.
We did. Yeah, we're grateful for you, James, and Seatopia, and your kind words are very much well received.
Yes, and we look forward to a future that we can continue to do beautiful things together and uh, along the same path.
Is that a wrap? Is there anything else about the giveaway, or?
I don't think that the giveaway has been announced yet, but so this is a little preview. But be on the lookout for a special opportunity to win some really, really cool products in the spirit of Father's Day, and we are including some products from some of our favorite brands, and one may be Seatopia.
One will be Seatopia.
You guys have a great rest of your day, and thanks for tuning in. Mwah.
Ciao.